Los Angeles County reporting a surge in coronavirus cases over the 4th of July weekend, more than 5,600 new infections in just 24 hours. The county is also struggling to keep up with the demand for tests. NBC News correspondent Gotti Schwartz is at Dodger Stadium, which is a testing site. Gotti, that site has closed, and there seems to be some confusion about why it's not open. Do you have a sense of what's going on there?
Yeah, a lot of questions. And let's just set the scene just like you were here in Los Angeles. We're hearing of this extremely high number of cases. We're hearing that the positivity rate is now 10%. We're hearing here in Los Angeles, people are being told that hospitalizations are up 40%. And then inexplicably, we've got this road that is usually filled with cars. And then we've got Dodger Stadium, one of the largest testing facilities in the entire country, able to test up to 6,500 cases a day. It's closed. It's empty. In fact, what we see from time to time is people coming up here asking if they can take a test, and we have to tell them it's closed. Earlier, there was a line of cars this morning stretching all the way down the street. Somebody from parking enforcement came out and said, sorry, the city is not testing anybody, and everyone left. So it's creating quite a bit of frustration out here. We've been trying to get to the bottom of it, and we've been told from the city that it had to do with a personnel issue after the holiday weekend, and to talk to the nonprofit that's helping run this facility. We talked to the nonprofit. They said, no, this is a budget issue and a funding issue. You should talk to the county. The county just had a press conference and said that the question should be referred to the city. So it's very difficult to get a straight answer as to why this facility was not open today, why they were not testing those thousands of people. But a lot of frustration. Here's what one woman had to say when she was trying to get in to get a COVID-19 test.
Just wanted to get tested, just wanted to be safe, just to see, a couple people. I don't feel safe leaving, going anywhere now that I don't know if no one in the city is getting tested, then everyone could be carrying it and spreading it around, So thousands of people are now not going to be able to be tested.
And again, the reason why this is so important, Allison, is here in Los Angeles. Actually, we've got somebody else coming. And it looks like they're getting ready to turn around. Hold on. This is basically what we've been doing all day. People will ask us if the testing site's open. Hey, you looking to get tested?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's closed today.
Oh.
Yeah. Why? We're trying to get to the bottom of it, but apparently it may have had to do something with funding, the city, the county. But it's kind of hard to get answers right now. But we know that they're closed today and they're reopen tomorrow.
Gotcha. All right. Well,
yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. So all day we've been talking to people like this that are coming up saying it's extremely difficult to find a place that is doing COVID-19 tests. And it's several days before they can get an appointment. I was just going to tell you, Allison, the reason why this is so important is because when we hear about the jumps in cases here in Los Angeles, they test about 14,000 people a day. This is 6,500 of them. So we're missing a very large data set. Not just for today, but for yesterday and the day before. So it's like those numbers that we're going to be seeing over the next few days probably should have an asterisk before we can get back to a solid rolling 7-day average. Allison?
But Gotti, I heard you telling that gentleman there, it sounds like this will be reopened tomorrow, or at least that's the hope.
Yeah. So what we understand from the nonprofit here is that everything will be back to normal tomorrow. It sounds like that funding issue that they're working on, instead of waiting for reimbursement coming directly from the county or the city or however it works, they're going to be working on possibly billing straight to insurance companies and then looking for another pool of money when it comes to people that may not have insurance. But that's the reason why they took off today. It sounds like they are anticipating yet another surge from the 4th of July, from all of the people that were gathering, from all of those moments that families are coming together. So they're anticipating another surge, but it's not because this is the 4th of July weekend. It's because they're having to retool because at some point there was a gap that wasn't taken care of earlier, and that's why we're missing out on testing today. Allison?
And Gotti, as you're talking, we're watching more and more cars turn around behind you, hoping that it's open and leaving. One last question before you go. I know the governor announced new coronavirus restrictions for certain counties. What are they?
Yeah, so right now, a lot of counties are under this no dining in, including here in Los Angeles. Most of them In fact, over 70% of the state of California is under some sort of restriction where you've got places like bars and restaurants in dining that is not allowed anymore. They've added to that list. So the notable one now is San Diego, which is very important because San Diego is 2-3 hours from Los Angeles. And a lot of people were basically leaving Los Angeles, going down to San Diego, where the restrictions were a little bit more lax. There are some other counties up north near San Francisco, but not San Francisco proper. From what we understand, San Francisco still isn't on that list because San Francisco itself has some pretty stringent guidelines. Allison?
I think older people are probably more concerned, taking, like my parents, they're freaking out about the whole thing, probably rightfully so. And then I'm seeing me and my friends down here, and they're like, well, you get it.
I don't know. I just thought I really wouldn't be exposed to it. Or that if I did get it, I thought I would end up being like completely asymptomatic and like not even know that I had it.
Down in Texas, so the gyms are open, things like that too. So passing around weights and equipment to each other, which obviously, it's not preferred when someone has or might have coronavirus.
Roughly half of the new cases are Americans under the age of 35, which is at a certain level very encouraging news.
I'm just more worried about just giving it to people, so we haven't done anything. We've just stayed inside.
I live with 2 roommates, one of which hasn't gotten it yet, so I've been really trying to stay in my room.
I had just gotten back from visiting my family, so there was a little bit of concern, when did my roommate have it? When was I exposed to it? Did I take it all the way back home? So of course, that was on the top of my mind.
Everyone and their moms in Columbia have just now gotten it.
Yeah.
Everyone we know in Columbia has probably had it.
When we opened up, probably earlier than we should have, then once it came to South Carolina, it started spreading. Everyone was kind of like, oh, well, if we're opening up, we're safe to go outside and kind of go back to life before we had been quarantining.
I'd say a week or 2 ago, there was 100% more that they probably could have and should have been doing.
Could I have avoided it if there was more restrictions? Probably not, because it was in my apartment.
I don't know exactly the changes they've made since then. I know the bars are closed again, masks are required. I think beyond that, I don't think there's a whole lot you can do, but that wasn't going on for a while.
I think that's another thing is that people will test positive and then feel fine a couple days later. And so they're like, oh, well, I'm not contagious anymore then because I don't have symptoms. And then go out a little too early and end up still giving it to other people. The bars are always going to be there. And the parties are always going to be there. And people don't think about it that way. And at least in my opinion, I would rather everybody quarantine now so that come August and September, we can go back to school. We're going into our senior year, and I want to have a football season in the senior year. And
surely wouldn't ask for it again, but, things could have been much worse.
To hear President Trump and Republicans tell it, voting by mail is about as reliable as a Ponzi scheme, a recipe for rampant fraud.
Will they be stolen from mailboxes as they get put in by the mailman? Will they be forged?
Right now, a foreign country could print up tens of thousands of counterfeit ballots and be very hard for us to detect.
Trump's claims about mail-in ballots have been widely debunked. Evidence of fraud is extremely rare.
Fraud is not common in mail-in voting. How would you forge hundreds of thousands of requests for absentee ballots? How would you forge the signatures of those people?
But with coronavirus forcing most states to consider rapidly expanding vote by mail, I wanted to understand how it works and what might go wrong along the way. Not all states let you vote by mail without a reason. In 2016, about 1 in 4 votes were cast by mail, with more states moving in that direction. The journey of a mail-in ballot starts when local election officials verify an individual voter's eligibility and send an order to the printer, where it's printed on special fraud-resistant paper, usually with a barcode that lets it be tracked like a package. In some places, voters must proactively request a ballot. Some areas send all voters applications for a ballot. Salt Lake County, in heavily Republican Utah, started sending every active registered voter an actual ballot, even if they didn't request it. County Clerk Sherry Swenson says turnout in the county surged to nearly 80% in 2018, almost unheard of for a midterm election.
We're making sure that we do address updates with the national change of address
After ballots arrive by mail, it's up to candidates to make sure their supporters fill them out and return them by the deadline. I wanted to know how that's changing the nature of campaigning. So I caught up with Suraj Patel, a New York Democrat still awaiting the results of his surprisingly close race against longtime Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney.
We completely changed our organization and our strategy and our plan to be one of getting people to request ballots and then following up and chasing them with returning those ballots.
If Patel pulls it off, it'll be a major upset, and due in large part to vote by mail, which he made central to his campaign strategy. At home, voters seal their completed ballots, sign them, and drop them in the mail. One reason Democrats are so concerned about Trump's threats to cut funding to the U.S. Postal Service. The signature is later verified against voter registration records by an election worker, a computer, or sometimes both. You need fewer poll workers, usually retirees who volunteer, to conduct an election by mail. But you need more professionals on hand and more high-tech gear to validate and count the ballots, ensuring nobody can vote twice.
We have a barcode on the ballot envelope, and it, when a ballot is returned, it automatically is logged in as having been received immediately. That voter is given credit for having returned that ballot.
You're buying equipment that sorts automatically, rips open an envelope and separates the ballot from the envelope, etc. These are beasts of equipment that take warehouse space, that cost $1 million. It's like buying a fire truck.
Who benefits politically from vote by mail? It's an open question. Republicans have tried to keep their opposition to expanded voter access focused on concerns about fraud, but Trump has sometimes said the quiet part out loud, tweeting that vote by mail, quote, for whatever reason, doesn't work out well for Republicans. In New York, it's been about 2 weeks since the primary, but Patel's race is so close that no winner has been called, the flood of mail-in ballots causing a delay in counting. That's raising concerns about how prepared America is to vote largely by mail this November if coronavirus keeps voters away from the polls.
We can't not plan for the fact that a lot of voters don't want to be in close proximity to other people. It's expensive. It's hard to do. They don't go wrong often, but they go wrong more often than the equivalent process in in-person voting.
Truth is, we're learning this as we go, just like everybody else. All we care about is ensuring that every single vote is counted.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.